It's time to pop the top off with Pub Talk. Welcome back to another live edition of Pub Talk here tonight. Today, we are back with our 1-year anniversary. Some more movies to talk about.
First beer too.
And hops of the week. But before we always begin the show, Pub Talk is always brought to you by Route 11 Chips. We know that it's summertime, but we all know that we just want to sit on the couch, binge watch Netflix, and stuff our face with some chips. And Route 11 has got you covered in that department. Since 1992, Route 11 has been chipping away to give its consumers a great and tasty product. So make sure you check out your local Martin's, Food Line, and Giant and pick up a bag today. Okay, let's do this thing. So, Coach, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, man.
It's always great to have you here with me. This is our 1-year anniversary.
Yes, it is.
And honestly,
it doesn't feel like a whole year has gone by, has it?
No, technically it was on the 13th or the 14th, but I mean, still, it's been 1 year since we started this thing, and it's been a little bit over a year since I came up with the idea to do this type of podcast, because I was on a podcast before this as a co-host. I really enjoyed talking about sports, but I wanted to go in a different direction, and I wanted to start my own little type of different type of show where it's just men who are talking with each other, where it's just guys having a couple of beers and guys who are just sitting back in the chair and guys who are just sitting back yelling at the TV going, "What the fuck are you doing?" That's what I wanted this show to be about, but not just about sports, because sports can get antagonizing. They can get boring to some people. So I want to branch out to everybody. This show also involves little tidbits like Hops of the Week, which we introduced about, I want to say, a little bit through the NFL season. But I think that it was a great addition to the show because it's some things that have blown my mind. Like that dead zone thing that I told you about a couple weeks ago, like that made me go crazy. The crocodile eating, what was it? Was it a crocodile eating a drug dealer? That also got me as well. There were a couple of stories in there that got me.
Yeah.
And so that I felt that was a great segment to introduce. But this show, I'm glad that we have some older viewers because not a lot of younger people understand sports like I do or you do.
Or like we get a chance to just chat, you know. I mean, I've said it 1,000 times. I'm a freaking expert. I got a microphone in front of me, damn it. I'm an expert. So
yeah, I got triple digit Twitter followers too. So I mean, I'm in the business. Yeah, I have like 100 and like I think 9, 110.
Really?
So yeah,
I don't have any idea.
I'm balling in that department here. I see we have 3 people in the chat already. It looks like Schindeldecker is here.
All right, cool.
Professor and Thomas John. I don't know who that. Do you know who that is?
Who?
Thomas John, it says.
I don't know.
No. Welcome, older folks, you mean me? I don't know. I mean, this show has always been based on dark humor.
Yeah.
It's always been based on
stupid dry jokes. Only John Schindeldecker. He's, like I mentioned him before. He's like been my brother. I've known him since we were probably 12, going on 13 years old. And just the stupid stuff we laugh about, we still laugh about today. We had a favorite radio program we used to listen to, Opie and Anthony, and of course they're no longer around anymore. But the just the stupid things we used to hear, and it just made us chuckle and stuff. Well, I make those dry jokes, and then he tells me about them. He tells me about it later that he's heard me say something, and you didn't get it, or somebody who was here that day didn't.
I probably did not get it. You're a lot older than me, so yeah.
Like I did that Andrew Dice Clay joke from like 1983 where I said little boy blue, he needed the money, and you didn't get it.
I did not get that one, unfortunately. But anyway, like starting back at episode 1, we had Clarence here on the show. I remember all the way back in June. I remember that we talked about the NBA finals because sports were alive back then, so we could actually talk about them. And Clarence has always been a good guest on the show. He's been on here 3 times or something like that?
At least 3.
I mean, every single guest that I've had on this show has been fantastic.
That's one of the things that I've liked is the fact that the professor, he's been on here, he's always thrown his 2 cents in. He's had a good time with the show. Buzzy came on a couple of times. I wish we could get him back on. Hopefully in another couple of weeks we'll be able to get him on. And
I know, unfortunately, his wife does work at a nursing home, and so a lot of the precautions that we would need to take to
Right.
get him back on.
To
is
get
a little
her,
bit
bring
more
her here
necessary.
and bring him to get, and have us exposed to it. That's not something he wants to do and she wants to do, but that's good. Then you think of old Biff. Biff's been on the show, and that kid, he cracks me up. Some of the stupid shit comes out of his mouth, but
And that's what I want. I don't want a serious person on here
Right,
because if you have a serious person on here on the show, then it's not Pup Talk because you're not
Yeah.
sitting at a bar.
Yeah.
You might be sitting at a desk at an ESPN studio and talking about this stuff.
and then
That's not what
you
this is.
can't overlook the notorious Big. Vigna.
Notorious VIG.
Vigna's
Yeah.
been on several times, and I've enjoyed having him on. We got to get the professor back on sometime again. Hopefully, we'll get some sports going, and he can jump on here, or we do another segment where we taste test a couple of beers. And I just happened to open a new one today. This is from Two Silos down in Manassas. It's called White Belgian. It's a Belgian style wheat ale, and it's called Fresh Off the Farm. And I'll tell you what, it's a little bit along the same lines as Blue Moon, only just a tad lighter. I wouldn't say heavy is the word, but it's not as full of a Belgian beer that you would normally taste if you drank a Blue Moon or a Hefeweizen or something like that. But this is pretty damn good beer. I'm glad I picked it up.
This show has also like changed. I want to say my daily routine as well, because you have to prepare for this show. You just can't come on the mic every single week.
Right. It's not that easy to just throw off. I mean, I can think back the time I've spent, just trying to read up on baseball and that ever-changing thing, and then the NBA and their potential going down to Disney World, things like that. And then, of course, the NFL is an always evolving thing, and you never know what's going to happen with that. So, it's not like you can just step up and go, hey, I'm just going to talk off the cuff. You better know what you're talking about, or you're just going to come across as an idiot, and that's not good for us.
Yeah, our attitudes have also changed a little bit. Like we dial back on the cussing.
Yeah.
Some, I would say.
Yeah, fuck that.
Explicit language is a part of the show. It always has been.
Yep.
Now, using it in a manner that makes it funnier is always better, though. Like whenever you want to talk about a specific player and say, like, well, he could go fuck himself. Like things like that. And not using it in, I want to say, every other word, like in a lot of people's vernacular nowadays.
Right. Right. As much as I love the F word, I know I can't only say it so many times on
remember
here.
I told you last week, there's a study that if you have anxiety, just drop the F-bomb right then.
I know. And we saw something about that. I read another article, and it said that people that use foul language are genuinely smarter people as well. Yeah, I read an article about it. They have.
I don't know. I have a friend that really cusses a lot, and I would not be enticed to say that he may or may not have ridden the short bus in his life. I don't know. I just maybe once or twice, maybe. But anyway, the show, we started off with a segment that I hope will come back. I really do. 6 beers. I hope it will. But right now, there is just no. There really is just no time, and there also is just nobody here to drink them with us because we don't want to just do the two of us.
Right.
We always want to have a guest on here to try out these.
I'll drink
beers.
6 beers, but
I know you'll pound it back, but it doesn't mean that you'll like them. Like Wood Booger. Like I mean,
my God, was that the
who was the one here who liked Wood Booger? Was it
Oh
Barrington?
yeah, Barrington was on the show.
Yeah.
I just talked to him today.
That
I tried to get him on the show,
and
he was busy tonight. He couldn't make it. I asked him to come over and do the show, but he's got to get up early and do something tomorrow for work. And
is that Vigna? Yeah, we were just talking about you before you got in the damn chat.
Is he in there? Is he on?
Hey, you can always call into the show. You can always
call into the show and talk and add your 2 cents and
because we're still talking on the anniversary right now.
Yeah, well, you guys call in and give your 2 cents on your time
Richmond
with the
Lager.
show.
Oh yeah, that's a fantastic beer.
Yes.
That's one of our top beers that we've had.
Yep.
I would have to say,
early on, one of the all-time favorites was Zombie Honey Ale.
Oh yeah, I think was that first or second show. That had to be one or the other.
Yeah, it was in the first couple of shows. That might have been one of the all-time best beers. And then recently, I don't know that we've missed on one at all. Even I've gone back and I've hit a couple of repeats just simply because we've enjoyed them so much. But even this, like the whole Two Silos, the last couple of months and the couple of episodes going back to Cream Ale, I went and bought Cream Ale again. I just liked it so much. The John Riggins 4th and 1 spawned into
Fancy Clancy,
which I just picked up another
both
4
of
pack
those
of
beers
that.
are fantastic.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
both of those are really good. I'm probably going to have a Fancy Clancy after I get done with this White Belgian. But yeah, I can't believe how much over the course of this year
alcohol we have drank on this show.
Well, not so much that, but my taste in beer has just freaking blown up.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I
You're
mean?
not going back to the Busch Light and Natty Light type of phase that you had in college.
Right. Well, back then it was Knickerbocker. And
what the heck is that?
Knickerbocker is a beer
That's a last name of a white guy. What do you mean?
Yeah, and Knickerbocker was this cheap beer that we used to buy in college.
Where can you find that Sasquatch Ale? Sorry. The
Squatch
asked.
Ale. I think you can get Squatch Ale at Martin's. Martin's or Giant.
Oh, well, there you go.
I've seen it in there before. Martin's and Giant also seem to carry that. And then if you ever get a chance, get down to, these guys are all local here, so they know that Total Wine down in Gainesville is also a great place to check out. I can't even begin to count how many beers.
times are you gonna fucking say that on this show?
What, Total Wine?
Yeah, you
because that's our place.
Once a show.
That's
once
our place to go. I mean, that is a place for us to go. When we had the Better Beer Store, and Martin's just doesn't carry a big enough selection. You have to go to a beer superstore like Total Wine in order to do it. And they have so many, it's just so hard to pick. And what do we got? We got somebody else.
Like Vigna.
Vigna calling in.
Yo, what's up, Vigna?
What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Hey, turn that down a little bit. It's a little loud. Yeah, we can hear you. You're good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is way different than being in the studio.
I mean, you experienced it firsthand, though, of seeing people call in.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, today is the 1 year anniversary, and so we wanted to talk a lot about it. Talk about how many times were you on the show? I want to think 4 or 5.
It's at least 4, if not 5.
Maybe 5.
And then
I love it.
He did back.
I love it.
Yeah, because you did the draft.
You did the
And
draft
then-
with us, then you came back right away back the next week and hit the show again. So you got to be close to 5 times on the show.
And then he was on the other podcast I was with for a show as well, and I did the draft with him in that show as well. So
Right.
yeah, it was I guess it was knowledgeable to have him back on when we had the draft here as well.
Right. That was a great episode, doing the draft here live and stuff like that. That was awesome. What was the name of your friend from upstate?
Gino.
Gino from New York. That's right, Gino. Called in.
having
It was good when my buddy Brad from PA, he called
He's a
up.
Bills fan, and
PA Bills fan. That's his handle, man. Yeah, he loves that stuff.
What was I going to say? But I think we want to continue. We were talking about continuing with the 6 beers, but right now it's just rough to get some 6 beers on here with people.
When it's just pretty much the two of us doing it.
Oh yeah.
Full table when we do it.
I know if you have guests you should probably do it,
Right.
but
Yeah, I think we should, and maybe we cut it down. Maybe we can't do 6. Maybe we can do 3 or 4, and do it that way. So it's a shorter segment. But there's a whole lot of beer out there to be drank. Because I'd like to bring on some of the beers that we had. One of the shows that we did was in the last couple of weeks. We wanted to include this one, but I had a party here at the house for the end of the school year. And Brian was here, and we pretty much drank up all the extra beers that I
Nice
bought.
job, Brian.
So,
You're supposed to be teaching our youth. What the hell's wrong?
yeah,
with
but
you?
we drank a beer called Sweet Buzz from Woodstock Brew House. Phenomenal beer, just spectacular beer. The milk stout that they had as well. We drank. I drank all that before anybody could sample it because it was so phenomenal dark beer. It was just over the top good. I'm looking at some of the things that were on here. They had this one that was a brown ale called Tipsy Squirrel, which was really, really good. And then they had this pale ale, and it was pretty light.
Even in the classroom, Brian.
it
My
was
goodness.
it was pretty light. What did he say?
Beer available. I will drink it.
You're right. Yeah, well, I always said that at school, and I keep trying to sneak it in on the budget. I said
You need a mini fridge with a keg
no,
inside of
I want a kegerator and a disco ball,
it. Okay.
just so that we can have some action going on, and it would make stress. It would lower the stress at work.
And I'm sure
Quite
your
a
kids
bit.
wouldn't mind.
No, they wouldn't mind. It was, the old coach would be happy, and he might want to turn the lights down a little bit and relax and,
And go for a nap.
You
time.
guys go ahead and take a nap. I'll be up here checking my emails, and then I'll be checking the inside of my eyelids as well.
Well,
But
So for football season, though, I want to try some more funny stuff instead of being so serious the entire time.
yeah,
I feel like I love the fastest 2 minutes in sports.
Yeah.
Pardon my take. Does.
yeah. Pardon my take. They do a phenomenal job. Those
I
guys
really
are great.
enjoy listening to that, and I wish that we could do a rendition of it
Mhm.
a little bit, and that would make the show more
How
enjoyable.
about the slowest 5 minutes in sports?
The slowest 5 minutes?
Because we couldn't do it as fast as them. That's for sure.
That is the only positive of distant learning. So you just take a swig every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just pause the screen, take a swig.
It
of
looks
your
like
wine.
distance learning. It looks like a coffee mug, but it's a
Trust me, it's just a hydro flask of water.
right.
That's all it is.
I'm sipping water. I told you guys to be calm. I'm trying to teach you.
But yeah, I want do like the slowest 5 minutes in sports or something like that.
Just-
a rendition of
Right.
it. Not trying to steal their thunder, but
Yeah,
I
because
really
I don't
do
think the NFL is not playing. Those cats are playing. That's just all there is to it. I think they see the writing on the wall from what Major League Baseball is doing.
the NHL as
And-
well.
and
the
come
NBA.
hell or high water, these guys are going to try and find a way to be on the field. And I think by and large, the players want to as well. In spite of all the shit that's going on now outside of, and we don't talk politics on the show, but in spite of events that have taken place in the
Oh, it's taking over social media.
right,
It's,
it's just exploded. I've kind of dropped off of social media. I don't even read
stay
it
away
anymore.
from Facebook. You boomers are going insane.
I don't-
I cannot take it.
I second that, CJ.
Yeah,
It is awful right now.
I just read what my friends are saying, and hopefully they have something. But I skip right over all the rants and raves and stuff like that. I just don't want to hear people. Everybody's entitled to their 2 cents.
I get that.
Just,
But
But-
go ahead.
you know what I mean. Nobody wants to hear my 2 cents, so I just keep my mouth shut.
Shut up, John.
up.
For me, Twitter, it's all these younger people,
Yeah.
and it's people who are my age, and I go, "You're my age, and you have that mentality about this type of stuff," and then it's like, you're telling me that you, and then on Facebook, it's a older generation, and I'm like, you're twice my age, and you have this mentality going on.
Yeah, it's
come
like
on
I call it anonymous muscles, because especially on Twitter, people can just say whatever they want to
Flex 'em,
say.
man. Flex
Right,
those
right, and
muscles.
they don't have to worry about being in any proximity to anybody, so it's not like they're going to get punched in the nose, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that's going to happen. And I think we need a diversion of sports to get people out of this whole freaking negative mindset, or that they have to prove something to somebody else. And that just bugs me whenever I see that shit. That just bothers me immensely. But what's your favorite episode, Vigna, that you did with us? Was it the draft or any of the
Well,
other?
it was probably the live episode, just because we were able to interact with people like you are now, and
Right.
seeing who we thought they were going to take and where, and
Right.
seeing Gino actually call in there, it was like, oh, something's going on here.
Right.
Felt like the big leagues.
Can you hear it, Professor?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely, dude.
Oh yeah,
You
It's
people
like you're right in the room. Like we have a full table right
are
here.
moving up in the fucking world right now.
Holy
You have
cow.
2 people at the same
Yeah,
time.
2 people at the same time. That's amazing. I didn't think it
My
would.
fi- well, the only reason I called in is my fingers are too fat to do all that texting, so it's easier to talk.
Little carrot fingers.
The live episode and just us reacting to the draft itself and especially some of those picks like Carolina, where I was like, we all thought Isaiah Simmons was going there,
Right.
and you had some picks that we were like, why would you do that, or just saying like, yep, that was going to happen.
We knew that was going to happen, kind of thing. Yeah. But hey, a couple of things that the professor did when we had our show was when we created our questions. You remember our 5 questions?
The
shotgun round. And he did a really good one about food. And remember we were talking about food there, Professor?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I just think about food and how much I miss eating certain things. But it's always fun. In our stupid episode, I don't know, a couple months ago about candy, the shittiest candies.
Oh, yeah, the wafers or whatever.
Vanilla wafers.
Vanilla wafers. I had to look them up, and I was like, oh, my God, that sounds awful.
If I get into a store and I see them, I'll buy them for you, and you'll hate them.
Please
Guarantee
Please
you.
no. What was I? I had Whoppers. I had a very hot take on Twizzlers in there that I did not like.
Yeah.
That's just me. I do not like eating basically like a spider web in my mouth. So, the candy one was good. We had the disgusting food. That one was really good.
Yeah.
The plums. It gives me a chill up my spine right now. I think like back in the summer when we had the movies, that was so much fun.
I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation about John Wick or John Rambo.
Our very first episode,
Wick versus Rambo. Yeah. I just think those are King Kong.
My opinion has changed now. It really has. It really has. I used to think John Wick, the assassin, the guy who has just.
I'm telling you, Rambo kicks his ass. He's just meaner.
Yeah, because I think this because I had to watch the newest one, and when I saw him slam his hands on the door and said, "I should have fucking broken your neck when I had the chance," I was like, "Okay."
How about the fact that he makes the knife and he cuts the guy's heart out?
Yeah, I was like, "Okay, John, like I get it. They killed your dog, but Jesus Christ, just stay away from Rambo. Please just stay away from him." Like I get it's your car as well, and it's a nice car. But I still would not go after Rambo.
You could not destroy a Mustang like that, though. I could understand him just going ape shit and killing people. You just don't do that to a Stang like that.
Right.
I think that the music is fantastic also in John Wick and like serenading the scenes whenever it gets really fast paced. Yeah, the action starts heating up, and so does the music.
Right.
And then whenever like they're in the nightclub, that's my favorite scene.
Yeah, the techno in the first one.
And then I meant whenever he's down in the pool room and he's like he stabs that guy underneath his chin, and like he's slow and methodical at killing him. And I was like, oh my God, this is for real. But the movies that we talked about, like the comedy movies, I still remember the comedy movies of us busting, almost falling off our chairs laughing so hard when we talked about the old Blazing Saddles.
What world of sports is it going on? I told you to get some track legs. Stop dancing around like a bunch of Kansas City faggots.
And when we saw Step Brothers, Dodgeball, Dumb and Dumber, when we talked about those movies, it was just that was a good day. That really was a good day. And then we also had the war movies where we talked about, of course, Saving Private Ryan, Hacksaw Ridge. We talked about Band of Brothers. Even though it's not a movie, I still would consider it a movie because it has the motion picture type of effort into it.
I can go back through and take a look at some of our old scripts and see some of the things that we talked about early on. I saved a bunch of them to be able to.
Back in June and July? Oh, my God.
Yeah, just a whole bunch of old ones I kept. Oh, there's January.
Hey, CJ, you brought up about the fact that, everybody's fighting at the bit to get back to sports. They opened up dirt track racing in Pennsylvania over the weekend, and I went up to Port Royal for a 2-day show. You won't believe the number of people that came out of the woodwork to go racing.
Sure. And I'm sure people will say you will all get sick from this. I guarantee you that there were people there just pointing the finger and blaming people. But
I was up Hagerstown 2 weeks ago, CJ. They had 120 cars. They had 53 late models. They had 6 heats, and they had us sitting in every other row on all the even rows. So, but the face masks were optional, and there was no one wearing a face mask.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I don't think
yeah.
Corona can't survive with race gas. So in the air,
Yeah.
and who
I mean,
I know that the average person has never been to the racetrack because I'm just addicted to the smell of race gas. I love that shit.
well, methanol, that kills everything.
yeah.
Schindler Decker says Casey Ryback would kill him. John Wick.
Oh yeah,
John Wick.
Yeah.
Casey Ryback. You know who he is, right?
It refreshed my memory.
It's freaking. It's throw it up there, John. Throw it up there. It's Steven Seagal.
Oh, okay. All those
Casey-
movies that he did, my God.
Casey Ryback was the Navy SEAL. Remember, he did it on the train. It was Dark Territory, Under Siege. Under Siege was on the boat in the Missouri. I think it
seen
was.
those movies.
Oh my God, the Missouri was going to be decommissioned, and Casey Ryback's on board. They kill the ship's captain and try and take it over to unload the Tomahawk cruise missiles. Good pick, Casey Ryback. He'd be good. He's still getting murdered by John Rambo. John Rambo is whipping his ass. I'm telling you. Rambo's just mean. You know what I mean? It's like he's got up all this.
Rambo was
pent-up-
mean. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's got
kinda
this
do.
like this pent up rage that you can't quell.
Well, I mean, so does John Wick. I mean, for God's sakes, don't kill his dog and take his car.
I know, but Rambo's lost everything. You know what I mean? Not just a dog. Everything and anyone he's ever been close to is gone. And so they take shots at him.
Whoever just entered the chat, you have a fantastic name of 2 dumbasses entering the chat.
Oh, who is that?
I don't
Who's
know.
2 dumbasses?
But whoever it is, you have a fantastic name. But anyway, probably talking about us. Are we 2 dumbasses?
Maybe.
We're 2 dumbasses, yeah. But that's okay.
That's okay. I got a microphone. You can eat shit.
Oh, thanks, 2 dumbasses.
What'd he
You said
say?
you got it. That was wrong. Thank you very much.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Whoever-
Wait, who was the gal on this show at one point? We never had a woman on here. I don't know if they would want to be on this show. The amount of beer that we drink might get hectic down here. I don't know. But anyway, when we talked about what was it? Yeah, when you went to the race up there in Pennsylvania. Yeah, there was a picture of Ocean City opening back up on the boardwalk. There's people everywhere on the boardwalk.
Yeah, I
of
mean,
it opening back up.
I think they showed a picture of him, and there was like 1,000 people in this photograph, and there were like 3 people with a mask. What's going on?
I'm just trying to think about we went to Roadhouse actually on Sunday.
Yeah,
And well,
Skipped it. I want to go see your grandmother.
stupid Grammy. But I didn't know what the rule was. I don't know what the rule is on wearing a face mask. And we wore a face mask in there. And all of a sudden, I was like, nobody is wearing a face mask anymore. I feel like a weirdo right now. Because just thinking about it.
Get ready to operate on a steak.
I am now going to pull out the small intestine. That is delicious right there. But they can't make you wear a mask. They just can't. It's by law. They just cannot make you wear a mask.
I was up in PA, and they've been having you wear masks forever. And I'm going in stores, and when I was coming home, I stopped off at Sheetz, and I knew the last time I tried to go in there, it clearly said on the door, you must have a face mask to enter. And I looked in the doorway, and everybody had one. But when I came home on yesterday morning, or yesterday afternoon, I walked in there, and it said still on the door. It showed pictures of people having it. Said you must wear a mask, and I went in there, and half the people didn't even have masks on.
Yeah,
so you can't.
Yeah,
the department.
they changed the phases up there in PA like last Friday. So
Yeah.
now it's become optional. I think that's why most of the racetracks up there opened up as quickly as they can. Now it's all optional. You have to do your 6-foot distance kind of thing. Yeah. But to go back, your buddy said about how Hagerstown had a ton of cars. They had a ton of cars up there at Port Royal for the weekend. They had Saturday night, they had 41 410 sprints. They had 37 super lates. Then Sunday night, they had another 40 410s and 45 305 sprints. And I mean, people were just
Wow.
wall to wall. Infield at Port Royal had tons of people in it, milling about. I mean, it shows you how hard up people are to get out and do stuff now.
Well, when the government demands that you stay in your house for over 2 months, I feel like people might want to get out. Like Coach here, I couldn't tell you. I thought he was going to punch a hole in a wall. I really did one day. But let's get off the depressing topic
get
of
off.
coronavirus.
Yeah. The fact that hopefully we're going out there and that's awesome. You can get back to the racetrack and stuff like that. But
any other final thoughts on the 1 year anniversary before we get to the movies? Because I feel like a lot of people would have some comments on the movies.
Yeah, you gotta have some comments on the movies this week. Did you guys see the posting about what we're talking about?
Is it on your?
It's on the chat right up above. It's on the chat
above.
So it's on the title and also it's in the chat. We're talking about Rocky movies.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk about
excluding Creed, maybe.
Yeah, but Creed I think is up there. But yeah, excluding those. Okay, let me say this first about Creed 2. If you've ever seen Rocky 4, that is Creed 2. Like that is Creed 2, but backwards.
Right.
So if you've ever seen that movie, just that's what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, discarding Creed, even though Sylvester Stallone was very good, which is what we came up with this topic because Sylvester Stallone, he's one of my favorite actors. Speaking of Rambo, he's been an icon of a lot of great movie franchises, and one of them does include Rocky.
Yeah.
I remember
going all the way back 1976. I was a kid. I remember that.
Holy shit. That was 30 years before. Oh, wait, no, 20 years. I can't do math. We've been drinking beer. So I've been 20 years. Go ahead and start off with your worst then. I go all the way up to the top. Yeah.
I'm gonna start out with my bottom rung on the Rocky scale. I'm gonna go out with Rocky 5. That was the one.
Oh yeah, thank God.
Because Rocky's supposed to have suffered brain damage in his fight following his fight with Ivan Drago from when he was in the fight in Russia. He's supposed to have suffered brain damage and shit. I mean, how do you even have a fight in there? And then he ends up fighting, what's his name? His protege in the movie. I can't even think. Tommy Gunn is the character's name. He fights Tommy Gunn, and in the street brawl, and has him kind of blacking out. And I was not a big fan of that one. I guess it was okay for a Rocky movie, but there was no devoted training section or anything like that. So. That's got to be on the scale of things. If I'm going to include Rocky Balboa, which I really enjoyed, Rocky 5's got to be the lowest one on the list for me.
I completely agree, especially the fact that I don't want to say that it's cliche, but Tommy comes in and he's like, "Yo, Rock, train me up, bro. Come on. I know I'm good. I know I can do that."
Right.
And then in the end, the teacher beats the student. Right. And I go, come on, man. That's very cliche in a way.
Right. And Tommy Morrison was a real boxer at one time, though. I think he ended up he contracted HIV, and that's how he died. He died from AIDS, complications with AIDS.
Well, it looks like we'll have to listen to it real quick, Coach. Like we'll have to give listen to a new show. Sinister the Dark Priest joined our chat, and he's like, he has a horror movie podcast.
Okay.
And he says he has the director of the classic horror movie Alice Sweet Alice.
I don't know.
On his show.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I'll have to give that a listen because
I love horror flicks too.
And also listening to the directors and how they want to make their movie. Basically the mindset to go into the movie. We'll definitely give it a listen. It's called Inside the Morgue. By the way,
what is Inside the Morgue?
Yeah. By the way, fantastic name for a podcast. That is great. If you want to scare people or make a great horror movie podcast, that is fantastic.
Check that out. Yeah, because I go all the way back into the early, was 1979, I think. Dawn of the Dead was made. George Romero
When
classic.
there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
I was a big fan of his, and he came out with a number of movies, but obviously Dawn of the Dead was the big kicker. And how many people have come along and made homages to that whole George Romero?
Oh yeah, the newest one is even great as well. The Dawn of the Dead in like 2005. It's pretty
with,
good.
with Ving Rhames.
It's a lot more gory too. I will say that. A lot more blood. But anyway, back on to the topic at hand. Yeah.
So 5. What about you guys? What about
before you jump away, John, your sidekick in your office, the big Philster, he's a
my
huge
God,
Dawn of the Dead guy.
Huge. He went to the
he
mall.
actually went to the mall in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and
Where they filmed
it. And now the mall has been remodeled over the years and stuff. Yeah. But he took pictures from where certain segments of the movie were filmed and everything like that, because certain portions of the mall were unchanged. And it was pretty cool. He showed me the pictures. It was really, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, they get to see the room up at the top. Damn it.
No. He did talk to a security guard that was there at that time and gave him behind the intricacies of the mall and took him up to the roof and everything else while he was on his tour. So
that's awesome. I've seen that movie so many times, and now hearing that about seeing the real thing, that's pretty cool. That is very awesome.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think about your worst Rocky movie? What's in your bottom? It's a tough question. I'll give you time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Rocky films were okay, but being like you said, a Stallone fan, even though Rocky really made his career, I think about some of the other movies he made,
right?
That I like better.
You're treading on thin ice right here, boy.
Yeah. I remember the Stallone movie. You remember Cobra?
Yeah. Marion
played the cop. Yeah, and he was in Nighthawks with I think it was Billy D. Williams. That was
Billy D. Williams, and he also starred Rutger Hauer. Remember? Rutger
yeah, and he was the bad guy.
Yeah, he would play the bad guy.
Yeah, terrorist.
You can't forget the Expendables.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be making a new one. There's another Expendables that's supposed to be coming out. Yeah, they were talking.
Who are they going to add in this time?
I don't know.
Oh my God! Who else have they not added?
They need to add in Mr. T.
Add him back into the fray. Right. Oh my God! Right.
They need to
it's like they have a scene where they actually
Apollo Creed, which was Carl Weathers. They need to bring back Carl Weathers.
Oh my God! Yeah,
add him to it.
I can absolutely see.
What the hell?
A shower?
Somebody taking
Brian?
Either that or he's taking a piss.
No, I was getting a drink of water.
Oh.
I mean, it would have. Okay. But I'm trying to think like if they could have a scene where they meet on the battlefield and it's like, what the hell are you doing here? I'm pitying all the fools. It's like, shut up.
I pity the fool who want to fight us.
Shut up. No one listens to you anymore.
Right. Yeah, he's quite aged at this point. But so's Rocky. So's freaking Stallone.
Tango and Cash.
Yeah, that's an old classic right there. Who came up with that?
Schindler Decker.
Yeah, Tango and Cash.
You guys are so old right now, man. This is ridiculous.
And that was with Jack Palance. Jack Palance played the bad guy. He always Tango and Cash. And the way he talked, because he also hosted a show way back when, and John remembers, the professor, he'll remember this, was Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
He was the host of that show, Jack Palance. He was a famous actor.
Yeah.
I'll give you on the pass for being old, Schindler because you put LOL in the same sentence. So I'll give you a pass on that. But do you have an answer, Vigna, for
the worst Rocky movie?
Probably. I mean, as the stories go on and on and on, it's like, what do you have to write about? So probably Rocky V. I mean,
it was like they were grasping at straws.
Yeah,
ass grab.
Right. Yeah,
and that's the thing about some like series of movies. It's just like all right, after the sequel, it's you can't get much better than that. They seem to drag things out. So
Well, okay. Well,
it made 120 million dollars. It was only made for like 50 million bucks, and it made 120 million dollars worldwide. That was Rocky 5. So I think it was everybody.
maybe the following. I don't know if it's the Rocky fans that came out and
Yeah, I
supported
think
it.
that's what it was. I mean, people are hooked on that kind of thing, and that's what you get. But I just didn't like the premise for why that movie was made, and I guess that's probably the part that bugs me the most. And that's why I put that one down on the bottom.
okay. Well, what's next for you then?
What's next?
Yeah, what's next?
Rocky 2. Rocky 2. And the reason why I say
All right.
that, and it's a good movie, and don't get me wrong, it's a good movie. It's the sequel to the first one, obviously. It follows up. You're going to fight Apollo Creed the second time. But there was this segment after freaking when Adrian, when Adrian falls ill and she's in the hospital, well, Rocky doesn't do shit. He's sitting around the bed reading poorly to her, and Mickey's sitting there, and they're not doing anything. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, after about 45 minutes of the movie, she goes, "I want you to do something for me, Rocky."
When?
And he goes, "When?"
Well, what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for?
Yeah.
Let's go. And they get out, and then and then the freaking and then the horns start to play, and everybody gets all juiced up, and then the movie kicks in, and then of course there's a great fight scene. But that lull in the middle where I know why they had to write it in there, and it couldn't have been, well, she fell and bumped her head, right? He has a son. Blah blah blah, but it just kind of filled up the middle part of that movie where I thought I thought it started out really well, and then all of a sudden it went into that lull, and I didn't like that at all. I was not a big fan of that.
For me, okay. You actually kind of changed my mind on that. I'll put Rocky 2 there as well. It's a very slow and methodical movie.
Yeah.
The first one was slow, and I get that, but it's building up to something. It is building up to the start of something new, and it makes sense. Whereas in the second one, well, in the first one, Rocky lost. He really did lose. And now you're building up to another one. Like, was he going to fucking lose again?
Right.
Like, are we about to be devastated again?
You're a bum, Rock. Yo, Mick, I ain't no bum.
I ain't no bum.
Right? Okay, so Rocky 2 gets made for $7 million. They make that movie at $7 million. Take a wild guess how much money that makes worldwide.
Triple digits?
Easy.
Yeah.
$200 million.
Oh my God.
That movie, Rocky 2, made $200 million worldwide on a budget that flew it for seven. That's crazy.
And it's all probably because he won, actually, in the end.
Well, no, I think it's just a follow-up. People don't know that ahead of time. They don't know that ahead of time, but eventually, as people figure out what's going on.
So what do you guys think then?
Well, I'd have to agree with you all that I think 2 was kind of like you're right. It had that real slow period in it where you're waiting for the movie to really get started.
Right. Like it's too long of a, and that's what I said when we were talking about Clint Eastwood movies last week. Or was it that week or a week before?
No, it was last week.
It was last week. The movie The Unforgiven. And Unforgiven is a great flick, but there's it's just long. It's just too long, and I think they want to.
You're absolutely right.
They want to sell a story, and it's really good. Don't get me wrong, Clint Eastwood. That movie won a ton of awards, but I just thought it was a little long-winded, and but people loved it. I know that. All right, what are we looking at? What's third?
Okay, I'll go first then. This is a little controversial, but
Don't say it. I'm gonna punch you right now.
Rocky 4. I'm
Okay.
gonna put next.
Okay.
Like,
I had a talk up here.
like, here's the thing for me. I've watched this movie a lot, and I think that if you want to get hyped at something, watch this movie before a football game. Don't fucking watch this movie, okay? Because it'll lead to a failed state championship twice. So don't listen to it if you're gonna go into a football game. But if you want to be hyped, or if you want to be excited about America and like living in America, like that sort of
James
thing.
Brown was in the movie, man.
Yeah, it's a great movie. And also, there are some great lines like, if he dies, he dies.
Right.
But at the
I
end
will
of the
break
day,
you.
like I said, it's too fucking cliche for me. Like, I
It
get
is.
it. I get it. Look, Apollo dies. And that was shocking to me. I was like, dude, he just died in the ring.
Right.
And then, like, whenever they do the tests and everything on him, and this
Right.
man is like,
He's
he could
a
easily
machine.
break a brick wall. And you're like,
Right.
okay, so if Rocky doesn't die here in this fight, then something's up. And guess what? Something was up. And Rocky survived and he knocked him out. I'm like, come on now.
In Russia.
In Soviet Russia, boxers fight.
I will break you.
Yeah. So the budget on that movie, $28 million. $28 million. Take a guess how much that movie made.
I guarantee you that made more than a lot of the other movies.
Take a guess how much that movie made.
Let's say 500 million.
No, not that much.
400. 300.
3.4 million or $300.4 million. Just over about 301 million.
Like I said, I
Worldwide.
think it's a great movie. But if you were a person who's like, okay, I want to see a fighting movie. Okay, his friend dies in the ring,
Yeah.
and he's a former professional fighter. He gets back into the ring,
Right.
and he's like, I'm going to fight him on Russian territory. And then he wins, and I'm like, okay. Like, I saw
was
that coming.
Yeah, and it was a little hokey.
When was that movie made, by the way? What year?
It was like
1985 was the release date on
So
that
it was
one.
during a time of the
Rocky IV was released in 1985.
Well,
through that
that's a time frame. I mean, you think about, the evil empire and
Yeah,
as a guy and all that good stuff.
And
Yeah.
and they could see the coming end of the Soviets were shortly thereafter.
And like I said, I like the movie. Like, I want to see Ivan Drago, Dolph Lundgren, get his ass beat because of the way that he stares at him after he just killed Apollo Creed.
Right.
I'm like, dude, you about to die. Okay, but go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, I'm not far off with that. I would probably throw the Balboa movie in there too, because it's just unlikely that Rocky
not for me.
Balboa. I just simply because it's too far fetched to put into this. But I like the way the story was told. It just puts a capper on things, and I especially like the ending of the movie Rocky Balboa. I really like that. It was like, this is a farewell. We don't need to do this anymore, and I really like that. But I just have two other movies that are well above that I can't. So I'm thinking four and Balboa are tied for me. I don't know. They make a ton of movies.
What about
They take on money.
what about you guys though? Because we both had different answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think four is, I mean, it's a whole different storyline. So,
Yeah. This is
so
about
I mean, it's almost on an island by itself. So,
Yeah.
because it's a little out there.
What about you, Vigna? You've been quiet.
Yeah, I know. I'm just listening to you. I agree. I think you guys have it spot on right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see what you guys have as the number one now.
I mean, I'm pretty sure like we both know what Coach and I are going to have at number one, but it's okay. Next on the list, I'm going to go Rocky 3. Next, so that would be third.
No,
that's
second.
No, I only did 5th, 2, and there's 6 movies. So it would be third. Yeah, it would be third. Rocky 3 is third for me. I enjoy the music. I mean, it's the first movie that you have Eye of the Tiger in, and so you're hearing that, and you're like, man, this is a great soundtrack that you have going on. And the thing is that I just wish they would have shown more Mr. T. Like, he comes in and
Clubber Lang,
yeah, and he comes in and he's sitting ringside and he's like, I want to fight Balboa, and then you see him beat him up, and then you may get some training sessions of him, but you never see his character develop. He's just the bad guy. It's just
He was worried too much about the A team. CJ, come on now.
I love the 18.
I love it when a plan comes together.
B.A. Baracus.
Yeah, I get what you're. I feel that, and also Rocky changing up his style completely. I was like, whoa, this is crazy, because instead of going for his normal left hand, he's switching to his right, Or wait, no, he was right. Then he switched. No,
He's
was
a
it left and then?
southpaw. South Philly. I'm swinging from the south.
Oh, okay. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. But
Yeah.
He's left-handed in real life.
okay, so
Yeah.
it makes sense then for that movie.
And-
But
And he goes, "It's time to switch." No, I ain't switching. I'm not doing it, Mick.
and then I like how, Apollo Creed's trainer helps him out after Mick dies, which is very sad. And why?
Apollo helps him out.
Sorry,
Well, they
both help
do.
him
They
out.
both help him, and then Duke stays with him all the way through. And I think that's
And it's sad seeing Mick die. It is, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, especially after the fight.
and his face is all beat up and everything.
And then I don't know. I get the sob story of him not wanting to fight, but I'm like, dude, you're a fucking competitor.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a sob story like that. And then of course it's your wife that gets you back into the ring.
Right. We got money. We got everything. What's wrong? What's
Exactly.
I'm afraid.
I don't.
All right. For the first time in my life, I'm afraid.
And that's what gets you back. That's what makes Apollo get you back into the ring. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Because you see him slowly fighting, and he's
Yeah.
not motivated.
And then he goes, and then he's they're in the gym and he's training. He goes, I'm hooking. And he's like, damn it, Rock. This man will kill you.
Yeah.
Inside of, whatever. He's going to beat your ass. But I thoroughly enjoy Rocky 3. I love that one. I could probably watch that more than I can watch the first one, just simply because of that story that Apollo Creed is. If I can't beat you, I'll join you, and I'll take you where you can't take yourself, kind of thing. And I love that. I love that whole perspective. There's a number of sequences in there, but I thought for me that the training in Rocky 3, the training sessions that they had were better than all the other movies. I just thought there was just better training because you could see the progression from him being this mauler kind of guy into holy shit, freaking Stallone can actually move like a boxer. He can play it. And of course, when he shows up in the ring, his body is completely transformed.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just like, holy shit. The work he did to make that happen. Another movie, it makes $270 million. So when you start adding this up, and we didn't even put Rocky 1 in this, we didn't put the first,
It's over $1 billion.
it's over $1 billion in a single franchise.
What? I have my head.
$1 billion. Tell Melanie you don't have time for her.
Lit.
Tell her to shove off.
So because you tied two together, that's right.
Yeah, I'm gonna tie. I dumped 2 in there, but I'm gonna tie. I want to say that I really enjoyed the first one because it was a great story, and it was when I was a kid. You know what I mean? I was probably in 5th grade when it came out,
Yeah.
4th or 5th grade, and any kid that saw those Rocky training sessions, you just got jazzed. I mean, it was just cool as shit. I remember this to this day. My friend who played on the same Little League team I did, his name was Mark Ferraro, little second baseman. He told me he went to see the movie. And I said, don't tell me what happens. And he goes, Rocky loses. And I was so pissed at him.
Hey,
I wanted to punch him in his curly head right there. But I didn't. And he goes, but you're going to love the movie. You're going to love it. And then I pretty much begged your grandparents to take me to the movie so that I could go watch it. And we went and watched it as a family. And it was everything that I wanted to see as a kid. It was just a great story. So when I think of those, I just love the way Rocky 3 just freaking expanded. Like I thought, how much better can you make this franchise after 3? And then 4 came along, and we already talked about how 4 just kind of like that great 5
Good
blows.
soundtrack. Hearts on Fire. Got me pumped up in the snow and him
Right.
running.
Yeah. The training was pretty good in that one, but it just didn't deliver like 3 did.
Yeah.
What the hell? We at the fucking circus over there, or what?
Yeah, number 1 is Rocky, but number 2 for me is Rocky Balboa. Like
Yeah,
the
great story.
The big thing for me on Rocky Balboa, John, remember we all got pumped up listening to the Rocky soundtrack before every wrestling match.
Oh,
in
we
high
did.
school.
Oh, remember we did the old one. Do 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 do. Take it back. Do, take it back. Yeah, we had the original soundtrack, and our PE teachers had a stereo in our locker room and had mounted speakers up on the ceiling. And this was way back in the day where you had a cassette tape or an actual album, and you put it in there, and we played it before every wrestling match all the time, and it was just a great time to be a kid. And even at that time, and that was in the 80s. That was in the 80s. That was freaking 10 years later. We were still listening to it. Kurt Bowman brought it in, and Kurt was a phenomenal wrestler. He won a state championship. He's one of the all-time winningest wrestlers in our school's history. And we would play that music, and you just went into another zone with it. So yeah, he's exactly right with that.
So, but Rocky Balboa, the big thing for me that sets it apart from those other movies, and with it being more recent, not as recent as Creed, but the thing for me is that I just love how he is just a normal guy now in the working world.
Right.
He wants to carry on his wife's legacy,
right,
and he made a restaurant.
Right.
And when push comes to shove, they start talking on TV about Mason the Line Dixon, and and then like Max Kellerman even on there was like Rocky Balboa could beat this guy, and like Mason comes on and is like, no, he can't, and like Rocky's just like, I don't want to fight. I just want to do my thing, and then you have his son, like Rocky's son,
right,
and that's how winning is the scene that. Those words always resonate with me, and I'm pretty sure he came up with that all by himself because, about like this world will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You or me or nobody is going to hit as hard as life.
Right. But he was the director. He was the screenwriter of that movie. He did it all. And plus, I think he was not one of the producers of the movie, but he wrote and directed and wrote the screenwrite for all the script for all of that stuff. So yeah.
The first script, John, it took him only 3 days to write the entire Rocky.
Wow. I did not know that. 3 days.
Yeah, that's it. He wrote the first one in 3 days.
I wanted to know if you don't mind marrying me.
Too much.
Too much.
I wanted to know if you wouldn't mind marrying me too much.
But yeah, like a couple more points.
The only thing that takes me away when you get to Rocky 5 and Rocky Balboa is this. If you go back to 3 and parts of 4, he is well-spoken, he's wealthy, he dresses well. He has this different persona. He's I wouldn't say he's an intellectual by any stretch, but he sounds like a normal human being. And then you get to Rocky Balboa, and he's back to Rocky 1, dumb Rocky, and I just couldn't swallow that. And I get the whole, he's probably been beaten down. They took all of his money, and he's suffering now. And I think it was a great story. I liked it, but it just didn't drive me the way the other ones did, especially 3 and the first one. But they're not supposed to. Everything's supposed to pale in comparison to that first really good one, unless you're talking about The Godfather, and then both of them win the Best Picture. So,
Godfather 3 was the worst of all.
Oh yeah,
God, that was horrible. That was
the second one. It might be a little bit better than the first. I mean, Robert De Niro as Don Corleone.
Don Corleone.
Yeah, that was very good. But a couple other points I wanted to say, like of why I chose it, is also the fact that he's back to Philly and he's back to being, that small town Philly guy.
Yeah.
And when he gets put back into the ring, he doesn't care about winning. Like he doing what he did back in the first movie. He's getting his shot.
Like he's in that bar, right? And he meets what's her name? I can't think of her name. I don't know why I can't remember anything anymore. But he's in the bar and he realizes that the girl that he's talking to, who's the barmaid, is the girl who yelled at him when he was in Rocky 1. Now, he's Rocky Balboa. He's done everything that there is to do in the sport of boxing, and these freaking 3-4 fucking schlubs down the bar give him a bunch of shit. Like they would ever do that? Like that would ever happen to me? I just didn't like that part. That part kind of bugged me. Like he just should have slapped that bitch in the face and just said, hey, go have a seat before I punch you and your boyfriend I'm going to hit your boyfriend so hard you're going to have a black eye. And I just didn't like that part.
I get that, but I also feel that he is not wanting to go back to that life either. He just wants to move on.
Well, shit, they stole all his money. Takes too long to do that.
But anyway, and then of course Rocky 1. It's very slow. It's methodical. It builds up to something great.
Yeah.
And the fight, especially when everyone was like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Right.
It's like Apollo Creed's a
It's just-
champion.
and you know what I can take away from this, and I can just close my eyes and I can see this now, is listening to the announcers, because it was Stu Nahan was one of the guys on there, and they're talking about the punches that are being delivered, and one of the things is when Rocky gets inside to his ribs and he starts busting up the freaking champ inside, and he's like, "Oh, Apollo's spitting up blood. There's blood on his mouth," and he just keeps beating his ribs to death. I don't know why that strikes me as something powerful, but it just, the way they described it, the way the announcers were describing what was going on, was really top shelf. with me.
Rocky 4, like the fight for me, like whenever Rocky is like getting pummeled and then he hits one hit and you hear Duke go, "He's gone! Go, Rocky!"
He's not a machine. He's a man.
Yeah. And especially like you see the blood coming
Right.
down his face and I'm like, "Oh, it's on."
Right,
It's
right.
about to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
So
Yeah,
I got to tie. I want to tie Rocky 3 just because I love the whole spiel of that, and I love that whole thing where he says, "I want you to do something for me" after the thing, and they get back in the ring, and then it freezes right at
Yeah.
the end.
that's an iconic photo.
Yeah. That was Leroy Neiman painted that, famous artist. For your 10 cents.
Well, we draw stick figures here and doodles. That's all we do. But okay,
Yeah.
running over an hour
Definitely.
now.
Oh,
So
all right.
yeah, let's go on to hops though. To finish off the show. Go ahead first.
I got two. One of them's really short, and all it is stay the hell off of freaking social media. You don't need to run your fucking gums and get your 2 cents in, because somebody will answer with 3 cents, and then somebody will come along with their 4 cents, and then somebody's going to throw a nickel into the friggin' thing, and the next thing you know, people are going to start losing friends over this, and it's just not worth it.
it's very
Just
bad.
keep your fucking pie hole shut and just let people vent. Let them vent. Don't vent to them or vent for them. Just let them vent. And if you can keep your mouth shut and stay away from it, stay away from it. It's
Another
not
thing
worth
about
it.
that is like use social media, but use it at your own risk, because
Yeah, but it shouldn't have to be a risk. It should be an enjoyment. If you're going to do it, it's because it's fun to do, and that you're enjoying it because it adds to your life. People are using social media now, and they're using it to attack other people.
it's a platform basically.
Yeah, and it's a negative platform, and it's just freaking, it's hideous now, and I don't like it. I just as soon stay the hell away from that.
Go ahead though.
Second
With
one
another
is we're always talking about Netflix originals. We're talking about Amazon Prime. We're talking about all this stuff that was on there, and your mother and I picked up this new show, and we finished season 1, and there are more twists and turns. And I'm telling you what, I can't get enough of this damn show. It's called Ozark, and
You just started it?
I just started it, and
Oh, Johnny, you're missing out.
I'm not missing out. I'm watching it, asshole.
It's going to be a great season 2. Wait till you watch.
I'm into season 2 now. I'm in episode 2, season 2. I think there are 3 seasons already. 3 seasons now in the books.
Yeah.
But I pushed out Bosch, Harry, the story based on the character by Michael Connelly, the author Michael Connelly, on the police detective, homicide detective Harry Bosch. And that is a great, great series. If you have Amazon Prime, you should check that out. It's just really, really good stuff. But I like this Ozark. Jason Bateman, he's like one of my new favorites now. This cat is so good. His skills as an actor are so good. The bad guys are bad. I mean, you want them fucking dead. The characters are just so well done. And I can't get enough of this damn show. And I don't want to keep watching it. I want to space it out so that it doesn't end for me so quick. But I just can't get enough of Ozark. I've heard people had talked about it, and I was like, I don't know if I want to watch that. And then one day, your mother and I sat down and we started to watch it. It is phenomenal. When you think you got it figured out, you haven't figured shit out.
No, you don't.
It just
You won't. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh my
For
God.
for Ozarks, is it started really slow for me, and about midway of the first season is when it was like, oh shit, this thing's the real deal.
The last episode of the first season, I was blown away. When they get Dell, when they take out Dell, I was like, oh my God. I actually jumped up off the couch. I was like, no way did they just do that. And I just can't wait for as this season moves on. I think I'm on episode 3 of season 2, and I think there are only 3 seasons so far.
Yeah, there is.
Cancel that show. I'm gonna buy a gun. I'm gonna put a bullet through my TV because I'm gonna be pissed. I have not been that into a show since I watched The Wire on HBO, because the characters are so real, like in The Wire. And the stories are so strong and compelling, and you can't guess what's going to happen. You can't. You think you can, but you don't have it figured out. I thought
season 3 takes the cake. It's insane.
I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me. Don't say it. I'm going to check it out. I can't get enough of that. Yeah. So those are my 2 hops. Stay the hell away from social media. If you have to stay away from it, it's just not freaking. It's not fun. It's not fun anymore. I like the sports ones. I like the guys who are talking about leadership and character building and talking about what it means to be a better player or to get their focus, because hopefully one of these days we'll get back to sports and all. But I don't know. It's just one of those things.
So my hops is college football is a dumpster fire right now with coaches on social media coming up in
Mike Gundy.
Oof. I'm not going to get into politics, but right now Tuba Hubbard is very upset.
Holy shit, he had a T-shirt on. Who gives a shit?
It was like 10 years ago too, I feel.
Yeah.
But right now, dumpster fire is also happening. You have Mike Norvell down at Florida State. Like, there was a report out saying like he had one-on-one conversations with all of his players, every single one of them that got out. And one of his players came out and said, bullshit, he didn't talk to us. He sent us an automated message to us saying like just everything. And it was the same message to everybody. So college football is a dumpster fire right now. With head coaches being on the not on the smart side right now.
Yeah, I don't think Mike Gundy did anything wrong. I think the kid just took the opportunity based on the current situation, I guess is the right in the climate that's being on, and he took an opportunity to be recognized. I just sort of think that was the wrong move, to pull out a picture that was that old and use it against his head coach. I think that was kind of shitty.
It's like that with what was it, Kyler Murray last year on social media. It happens all the time now, where people love to go back and people.
Sure, now we're getting this whole freaking Colin Kaepernick now, and and teams are gonna players are gonna kneel, and everybody's gonna be down with that, and it's just like, well, if you're gonna do it, shut the fuck up. Don't tell the whole world. Just fucking do it. Who cares? Just stop with this nonsense. Like, you're trying to make this point that's going to be so profound that people are going to,
put their hand on their chest and go, "I can't believe he did that."
Right, and then you're going to have a certain amount of people. I've already talked to a buddy of mine. He already said, "I'm done with the NFL. I'm not watching them. If they take a knee, I'm not watching them." And I'm just like, okay, I'm still watching football.
I'm still watching football too. I've been without sports.
Sorry,
months.
Kev, I'm watching football. God damn it, I've been without sports for a long time. But if they freaking play football, I'm watching football. I don't give a shit who kneels or whatever. I'm just worried about the plays, because at no time will you see a player take a knee during a play. Like, could you imagine a safety taking a knee going, I'm not defending anybody on this play?
That guy would probably lose his job right there. I wouldn't be surprised.
It's just,
But
you know,
my other one is Las Vegas is going to hold the Pro Bowl next year.
I saw that. I just saw that about an hour ago, right before we came on the show. I just came on ESPN and the 2021
Want to go
Pro
to
Bowl.
Vegas to watch the football?
It's going to be in the freaking Pro Bowl. It's going to be in Vegas next year.
right before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I say that. Wait, is
We'll be out of school for COVID. This will be the second.
Yeah, it'll be the second wave. Why the hell
Well,
not?
then they won't let us down there. There'll be social distancing, and then we won't be able to go.
Oh man.
Horse shit.
But Las Vegas is going to have the Pro Bowl in the new stadium.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't forget, Las Vegas Raiders this year. It's no longer Oakland.
yeah.
So
They're still gonna suck, but that's okay.
I'm thinking 6 to 7 wins. Yeah. 'Cause they
I'm
didn't-
thinking half stadiums too, because if they're starting the season down there, if they start the season in August, you want to be in Las Vegas in a stadium in August? Bullshit, that ain't happening. People aren't
Well,
going
the
to be
games
going.
don't start until September.
It's still hot there, CJ. It's the desert for crying out loud.
Well, they don't have air conditioning. My goodness.
In the stadium, they're going to air condition the stadium.
you never know with
Is
the
it a
amount of
dome
money.
stadium?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. Well, then you can get away with that. All right, but I still wouldn't go out there for a game. It's too fucking hot. I've been there in July. I've been in Vegas in July.
Oh, the humidity! I bet.
And there's
out there
no
is
humidity. It's none.
awful. It's just dry heat.
It's dry.
heat.
And,
Dry
and,
heat.
and the thing about it is that everything heats up because all the buildings and all the roads absorb the heat, and it's hot all the time.
Oh man,
It is.
I would be like sweating into the casino. Like,
Oh,
where's
my-
the bar?
Yeah, that's why you stay in the casino, because that's where it's all air conditioning, and that's where all the money's at.
All the money that they're gonna take from me.
Yeah, that's where I deposit my money because I'm giving it to them.
I just lost $100. You play a hard bargain. Here's another 100 more. Okay, so that's going to be it for the show today, though.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Happy
for
anniversary,
all-
son.
Yep. Happy
Yeah.
anniversary to Pup Talk. Thank you too for calling in.
Yeah, man.
Professor
Thanks for
Vigna.
coming in.
Hey, not
You're
a problem.
welcome. I love it.
You're always welcome back on the show. I don't
Anytime
care
you
when.
want to come on,
Just don't break into the house, though. Just don't call before you do it. Just do
and
that.
I'll give you the code. You can meet us at the back door. You know the code. We'll get you in, and we'll do the show.
But to everyone else who joined the chat, especially walking in the chat with us,
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to check out Inside the Morgue, though. on
I
that
did. I wrote it down on
podcast.
my slip here.
But Vigna, Professor, it's been fun. Thanks for calling in. Here's
Hey, not a problem.
here, hopefully with us,
Yeah.
and we'll keep it rocking though. But until next time, guys, peace out.
Hey, happy Father's Day to all those guys next week. We won't be on next week. Next Sunday we won't be on because it'll be Father's Day.
Yep, and the old man here is not going to want to be here. So, but peace out, guys.
All right, see you.
All right. Bye.
Have-